I think people, if they're familiar with peptides, I think they're thinking maybe tissue healing, but they're definitely thinking you maybe growth hormone stimulating or muscle tissue response. But what about some other things like like gut health and immune system that you touched on? There's like sexual health. There's some that can even make you tan.
Yeah, all of it. There's even antimicrobial peptides. There's antimicrobial peptides. There's anti-cancer peptides. There's peptides that work on there's genes in your body that are cancer regulators, and there's peptides made to stimulate those. There's ones for your bones. There's like the brain ones, the cerebrolysin and the epidolon. What else? There's cardiovascular ones. There's gut health ones. Immune stimulating ones. There's ones for obesity, right? That just target obesity, and they work really well. There's this one called AOD, and it works great. And I can do that one next to one of the growth hormone stimulants to help people, get control of their weight, which is really fantastic.
So how is that working? Is like appetite suppressant? Is it like thyroid stimulating, metabolism?
Yeah, a lot of them what they'll do is they'll increase the insulin sensitivity. And a lot of people that have gained weight, what they've done is they've become insulin insensitive. So you measure their blood, which is, it's kind of counterintuitive. It's like, okay, why does this person have so much insulin in their blood, but they're obese? Right? That shouldn't be, right? But they're not sensitive to the insulin, like their cells are saying, their fat cells are saying, I don't want that. Don't be pushing any more sugar inside of me. I'm not storing anything more. And so then their pancreas has to keep making more and more insulin to shove this sugar into a fat cell that's already bulging, and so the peptides make the insulin more sensitive. Your body's able to use sugars better, metabolize them better, fat cells work better. And then there's even other peptides that help you burn fat, right? And there's a lot of crossover with some of these peptides. So now they have these like really advanced athlete stacks, and some of these athlete stacks, like there's one I have that, very rarely done, because of its expense, but there's 9 peptides that you'll stack together.
And is that like 9 different shots, or how does that work?
Yeah, it's 9 different shots. So the thing, and people freak out about it, right? They freak out about shots. So I have an insulin syringe here. So here's a 0.5 milliliter insulin syringe, and if you look at it, and I'm going to try to hold this all the way up to the camera.
Yeah,
that needle is tiny.
It's itty bitty. Right? Anybody listening to this is going to be on YouTube as well, so you guys can see what he's actually talking about. But it's a tiny little needle. Tiny little needle,
right? And I don't know. Here's a standard little vial, right? So you're just going to wipe the top of the vial. You're going to pull out however many units, because you give it to people in units. Units are almost equal to milliliters, right? So this is a 0.5 mil, so it says 50 units. All right, so 100 units would be 1 milliliter. Right. About. It's slightly different, and I don't know why there's a slight difference, but there is a slight difference of 1 or something like that.
Damn metric system.
But it's so it's pretty easy, and you can, even if you're good at pulling peptides out, you can pull more than 1 peptide into a syringe.
Yeah.
Depending, and you got to check with the pharmacy on how they compounded it to see if you're allowed to do that.
Right.
But even if you had to stick yourself multiple times, it's so small, it never bleeds, it doesn't bruise, it doesn't even really hurt. But what I tell people is don't pinch your skin. A lot of people are like, oh, I'm going to go pinch something like this and I'm going to stick that in there. I'm like, that's really not a great idea, right? You're putting that skin under tension and then you're going to stick it with a needle. Like just stick it in. And it depends on what you're doing, right? So some of the peptides you can put in your abdomen. I kind of like the hip because your hip is pretty desensitized.
Yeah.
And it's easy. It goes right in, you're done.
Yeah, I've done, so I had a little quad pull from doing some sprints. So the BPC, like put straight in the rectus femoris. I've
Yeah.
kind of done a little bit like closer to the SI joint. But yeah, like when I do them, it's like kind of right in the stomach or like that hip, pocket area.
Yeah.